Good to have you back to the channel. Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? The name, often referred to as the founder of Bitcoin, is the name fictitious. I mean, made up. And why did some schools of thoughts now believe and argue that Nakamoto could be a British citizen? Wow. More to unpack in this video. Stay tuned. Let us examine these mysteries and uncover Satoshi Nakamoto. Grab a cuppa, of course I mean a cup of tea, and then subscribe. You see, as people continue to wonder and debate on the true identity of Satoshi Nakamoto, much is at stake. What do I mean? Stay with me. You see, the presumed creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi, is now the 15th wealthiest person. Just heard me, the 15th wealthiest person in the world because of the recent rally, I think a month ago in 2021. And the net worth is estimated to be up to 73 billion US dollars. Above all, Coinbase shared the notion that knowing the true identity of Nakamoto could have a significant effect on Bitcoin and crypto world. Meanwhile, let me quickly tell you how, when, and why Bitcoin was created. In August 2008, the domain name bitcoin.org was registered online. Shortly afterwards, say 2 months later, a paper entitled quote, a Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, end quote, was passed through a cryptography mailing list. Wait, you need to hear this again. Did you hear what I just said? Let me repeat it. A paper entitled quote, Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, end quote, was passed around a cryptography mailing list. Meaning there is a decoder, Nakamoto, the source, to the encoder, the recipient of the cryptography mail. I'll come to that later. Moving on January 3rd, 2009, at around 1815, okay, Satoshi Nakamoto mined the very first Bitcoin and then created a forum called Bitcoin Talk in the same year 2009. Remember, the creator with the name Nakamoto had revealed the concept of digital asset to a small online community of cryptography. Yes. So in a way, one could say the name Satoshi would have become familiar with the digital asset. What am I trying to say? You see, during that period, this person with the name Nakamoto kept updating the messages board, which is a development, and sent a few emails across to a few developers. However, the message, to tell you, was without identification and location and without nationality. And again, the name could be made up, like I said. And then please listen to this. It's very interesting. 3 years later, after creating the first world cryptocurrency on April 23rd, 2011, he sent a farewell email to fellow Bitcoin developer, and I quote, he said, quote, I have moved on to other things, end quote. Wow. So why did he move on? Good questions. Well, according to speculation, he was convinced the future of Bitcoin was, quote, in good hands, end quote. Again, you will agree with me that somebody somewhere is delegating responsibilities to some few trusted hands. But the question is, whom to woo? That said, you see, giving my explanation about Nakamoto prayer communication, obviously it left some clues, of course. Do you remember the what I just mentioned? Do you remember the Bit Talk forum he created? He used the medium to send codes and say about 100 messages to a few dozen emasic members of cryptography mailing list. And these members are made up of programmers who specialize in inventing techniques for secure communications. Many on the mailing list identify as quote-unquote cyberpunk. Wow. That's it. You remember Nakamoto disappeared and said, I've moved to other things. It is therefore reasonable and logical to unmask Nakamoto collaborators. And a good way to start is to find and identify quote-unquote cyberpunks, the group of programmers who specialize in inventing techniques for secure communication, whom Nakamoto communicate with in the early days. Meanwhile, stay tuned. Let me tell you why Satoshi created or found it necessary to create the digital asset. Yes. You see, before the creation of Bitcoin, no prior digital money concept had cracked what Satoshi referred to as, and I quote, the double spending problem, end quote. Essentially, Nakamoto created the digital asset to prevent a currency with no physical form from being duplicated like any other computer file sent over and over, the way kids shared endless copies of music files. And I quote again, we oppose a solution to the double spending problem using a peer-to-peer network, end quote, Satoshi wrote. You see, Nakamoto believed a peer-to-peer concept will eliminate the middleman, the bank and other financial institutions, and even the central bank will validate all transactions. He strongly opposed the composition of the central bank and said the failure of the earlier attempts at digital currencies was due to the system put in place by the central authority. Let me quote him again. A lot of people automatically dismiss e-currency as a lost cause because of all the companies that failed since the 1990s, end quote. He wrote, I hope it is obvious it was only the central control nature of those systems that doomed it. And I think this is the first time where decentralized, non-trusted based system, end quote. And then the brilliant Satoshi proposed a public available shared ledger that would document every transaction. He called it the blockchain. Wait, I think you should know how blockchain works. I have produced a video on the subject matter. You will see the clip at the end of this video. That's it. Okay, I think you got the picture. Now you know why Nakamoto created Bitcoin. Stay tuned. Let us go ahead and uncover who Nakamoto is. Wow. Some schools of thought strongly believe that whoever Satoshi is, no doubt, is a world-class programmer with a deep understanding of the C++ programming language, somebody who understands economics, cryptography, and peer-to-peer networking. Wow. And as such, they are convinced that Satoshi couldn't have been one person, rather a team of programmers. And because of this, there are several suspects. I mean, those people thought could be Satoshi. Well, I will narrow them to 2 or 3. First is this gentleman here, Hal Finney, the cyberpunk who was one of Bitcoin first users, and he died of ALS in 2014, but was adamant even on his deathbed that he is neither was Satoshi nor knew Bitcoin inventor's actual identity. He said he doesn't know it, doesn't belong to that group. And then we have this gentleman here. Wow, Dorin Nakamoto. He actually shared the name Nakamoto with Satoshi, who graduated in physics from California Polytechnic and worked on classified defense projects. He is a Japanese American. To inform you, Dorin Nakamoto denied this allegation completely. And then this is very interesting. We have this gentleman here, Craig Wright, this man here. Well, to inform you, while others accused of being Satoshi Nakamoto denied, Satoshi Nakamoto denied it. Craig, the Australian scientist, this gentleman here, claimed he is Satoshi. Well, nobody believes him, and those claims were soon thrown into doubt for lack of reasonable evidence. And finally, wait for this, this is very crucial. That crucial evidence that cannot be ignored rather. The key point possibly solve the puzzle and uncover Satoshi. You see, according to the Times of London, it claimed that Satoshi, in his writing, obviously from his forum, it claimed that Satoshi employed the use of British spellings and words. He communicated using British format like a favor, maths, fiat, meaning resident, and phrases like, I quote, bloody hard, end quote. The Times of London argue for that to say, and I quote, all of which would point to the inventor as hailing from or being a resident of United Kingdom, end quote. Wow. What's your opinion? Do you think Satoshi Nakamoto is now unmasked with this evidence? I'd like to hear from you, and thanks for watching. Okay, here comes the best part. Subscribe, like, and comment. Remember, the goal is to generate wealth, build companies, and then create jobs. Bye now. See you soon.